Support provided by Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, and Louisiana Tech.
1 week ago, the Bulldogs from Louisiana Tech became bowl eligible, and look what they went to play in. That looks like fun, doesn't it? They were on the road at Missouri State, and how about this 4 minutes into the game? That is Andrew Burnett, who has 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games, and that is a 98-yard touchdown run. The second in school history over 90 yards, and Louisiana Tech has a 7-0 lead. And congratulations to the Bulldog fans who made the trip to go sit in that weather. Trey Kuka getting the start again at quarterback, rolling out, looking for help, goes back the other way. Nice little screen pass, and we've got ourselves a wall. Nice break. Clay Templeton makes a huge pickup for the Bulldogs in the bad weather. We go to the second quarter. Kuka with a little handoff, and just like that, the Bulldogs are up 14-0 as Burnett once again gets it into the end zone. But Missouri State, they're going to come back 14-3 now, almost the end of the first half. Big pass down the middle to give them really good field position. Not great weather to be throwing the ball, but they were chucking it around on this drive and eventually get it into the end zone. It's 14-10 after Ronnie Robinson hits Jacob Clark hits Robinson, and it's 14-10. Now Missouri State tries the fake punt. Boom! Look at the pop right there. He was going to come up about 4 yards short, but the fumble sets up Louisiana Tech when they tried to pull the fake. All the Bulldogs had gone the other direction, but it wasn't good enough, and Louisiana Tech was able to make the stop. Then it's back to the ground game. And boy, Louisiana Tech on the ground Saturday afternoon shows you how to do it in bad weather. Kuka makes the cut, cuts back across the grain, gets it down inside the 10-yard line, no problem. Bulldogs getting close, and then on 1st and goal, Kuka keeps it, and it's now 21-10. Louisiana Tech is on top. Midway through the third quarter, back from Missouri State. A little slip, then a little move, and then a sprint to the end zone, and that's going to be good. Shamari Lawrence takes it 56 yards up the middle, and that makes it 21-17. As good as Tech was on the ground, Missouri State was hanging in there, but Tech's going to score it again because Kuka's going to score again. Wraps up a 16-play, 78-yard drive to make it 28-17. That's what you would call a blown coverage.
That is the definition of a blown coverage right there. There's got to be somebody in the screenshot of a receiver.
Jerron Askren goes 75 yards on the blown coverage, and it's Missouri State's right back in at 28-23. But they have to kick it off, and that was a mistake because they went to Devin Gandy, and he's gone. 93 yards, he takes the kick right back. So no sooner does Missouri State make it a 5-point game, but right back on top of the scoreboard as Gandy gets into the end zone to make it 35-23. That is still the score. When Missouri State gets it in on the right side to make it 35-30, that's Ramon Green from 12 yards out. But for Louisiana Tech, you go to your star of the game, and that's your quarterback, and that's Trey Kuka. Watch him keep, fakes out everybody, and now he's gone. That's a 58-yard touchdown for your quarterback, getting the job done and putting this thing away to give Louisiana Tech 7 wins on the season in miserable conditions. 42-30 is your final score as the Bulldogs end the season with back-to-back wins. Here's Sonny Cumbie on the field after the game.
A great job in the re-game. Offensive line dominated. He did a phenomenal job with his eyes, finished plays, and he has the heart of the champion, man. And a guy that got benched early in the year and comes back and does like he does, I'm just fired up for him. You can throw all the stats out the window. Our guys got average today. Our guys fought their tails off all season long. They battled, came out in these conditions, and physically dominated a football team on their home turf because that's the type of football team that we are.
Yeah.
Coach Cumbie's fired up.
He's fired up with that win at Missouri State, 42-30. Look at the rushing yards, 388 for Louisiana Tech overall. But look at your quarterback. Trey Kuka has 16 carries for $172. He ran by himself for 50 more yards than Missouri State ran as a team. He also threw in 87 passing yards in miserable conditions. But congratulations to Louisiana Tech for getting the 12-point win. Next TBA, they will await a bowl invitation. But look, it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of this season on our first edition of Game Notes when we heard from Sonny Cumbie. Last year they went to the Independence Bowl by default. Independence Bowl needed a team. They were close. They had 5 wins. They invited them. They lost big in that ball game. But remember what he said. We went to this bowl game, and our players now know what it takes to get there. You went from that to now winning 7 wins and being bowl eligible on your own for the first time since 2019.
And thank goodness they accept that bowl invitation. I've seen teams not accept bowl invitations at the end of the year, and it's absolutely crazy. It's an entire month to evaluate your players, for them to get more experience in your program, and they took advantage of that moment. Yes, didn't win the game, but I think coming into this year, the preseason, listen to Coach Cumbie talk, we want to defend our home field. They certainly did that. Had some road struggles, lost some close games, but this is how you finish on the road. I think the most impressive stat to me in that game, besides the rushing yards, was outstanding. No turnovers. No turnovers in that type of weather is a heck of a job by his team.
Well, and they also didn't put the ball in the air a lot, so it speaks highly to your point about running backs and your quarterback holding on to the ball. They didn't throw it a lot, but they pounded, and what a game for Trey Kukoc. Here's another quarterback story.
Yeah.
We just talked about one, right? Down
We've
in
had a lot
down
this
left.
year.
Yeah. Kukoc has the chance to start the season, but then Blake Baker makes his way in, and then he starts. Then he goes down. So you bring in another quarterback who the next week, he goes down. So Kukoc, you start here, you came down here, now you're back up. You know what he's done in back-to-back games? Set quarterback rushing records for Louisiana Tech, because here's a look at what he did yesterday. And again, in those miserable conditions, but just leading the charge. Scott, he showed patience. He showed his ability to run. So now when you have 2 outstanding running backs already, and now your quarterback can do this, what kind of a challenge and pressure does that put on defense, knowing you have to defend a running quarterback?
Oh, it's tough playing defense against a running quarterback. You have to, now it's truly 11-on-11 defense. Usually you like those pocket passing guys who can sit back there, but when the quarterback can utilize their legs, it changes everything you're doing from a defensive standpoint. You can't really keep 2 safeties deep. You have to crowd the box. And yesterday, even though they were crowding the box, Louisiana Tech still did a good job running. And another thing, you know, this young man came over from a junior college out of California. Sometimes it takes time for a staff to learn what you can do well. And he's shown the last 2 games. Yesterday, the conditions were ideal for him to run the ball, but he's shown, I can use my legs. Utilize me in some form or fashion. He's here next year, and maybe he's not the starting quarterback. I don't know. There's got to be a package for a guy who can run the football like that.
And Andrew Brunette also had 134 yards rushing. Remember, he had the big game 1 week ago, including the game-winning touchdown in overtime to seal 6 wins. Yesterday, he runs for 134 and 2 touchdowns, and Kukoc runs for 172 and 3 touchdowns. So 5 touchdowns all on the ground between your quarterback and now a young man who's emerging as one of your He hadn't even been the best running back all year. He's got 5 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah, well, I think you can talk about the running game, but you can't forget to talk about, I think, we said it earlier this year, Coach Cumbie's done an outstanding job. He's from the high-flying Texas Tech offense. Throwing the ball is what's in his DNA. He has formulated this team around the defense was playing well early. Let's run the football. Credit to the offensive line. The offensive line did an outstanding job. It doesn't matter who you have back there to put up those type of running yards. You have to control the line of scrimmage. So outstanding job by the offensive line coach and the offensive lineman.
Here's a look at their schedule and what Louisiana Tech has done. And again, down the stretch, remember, they had many opportunities to get that 6th win, but you go to Delaware, you lose on a late field goal after that, a ridiculous onside kick. The next week, you go to the Great Northwest, where you had a tough outing, a loss there. So now you're still sitting on 5 wins, but you get the win at home for your best record at home since 2019. You become bowl eligible for the first time since 2019, and then you wrap it up with a very impressive win on the road. And before we wrap things up on Louisiana Tech, and you just touched on it, special teams has been outstanding, the punt returns and the kick returns, but that defense has been one of the best, and we have focused on them for much of this season, what they have done. They have led Conference USA for much of the year, but the defensive play, even when you lost your best defender back in El Paso, end of September, that defense has really played well.
Yeah, they went through a couple games of learning how to adjust to life without your best player on defense, just like most teams would. You lose, just like losing a quarterback on offense, you have to find a different way to utilize different guys on the defense. So a little bit of a lull after that, but really ramped up again at the end of the season. We're playing some of their best football, taking the football away and holding offenses down.